Mailbag time here on Chat Sports. I am Tom. Now let's dive in to all of your guys' questions around the NFL. First up, from Emil Pedersen. Should the Eagles draft a quarterback early in the NFL draft? I think they should consider it. My suspicion here is that in the end, the Eagles are going to choose to roll with Jalen Hurts, but you're picking it in the top 7. It would be negligence on their part if they didn't at least explore all of the options. So I don't think so, but they should strongly look at the available options if there's one they like. Alex Kerrigan, how far would the Seahawks go with a top 3 offensive line and just a decent defense? Big fan. I'll be super chatting more. Keep it up. Thank you, Alex. Hope you're subscribed, by the way, to our Seahawks channel. Links below, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. I mean, the defense was decent this year. If the offensive line becomes top 3, I think they'd be Super Bowl contenders, if not favorites, right? I mean, they haven't been that far moved with a bad offensive line or a mediocre offensive line. Now, I will say this, it's a lot easier said than done getting a top 3 offensive line, but I think they'd be a legit contender. That would have a top 3 offense, top 5 offense. If you have top 5 in one area, decent in the other, especially if it's offense versus defense, you're going to be a real threat. From D-Man Dooney, if Trey Lance, Patrick Surtain, and Caleb Farley are all gone by the 12th pick, should the Niners draft J.C. Horn or trade down for money, maybe pick up a cornerback? I don't mind Horn at 12. I think in the end that's a little bit richer than what the Niners want to do, but I do think trade down could be an option. If a team wants Mac Jones, the Niners go, we don't want him, trade down, right? By the way, good point by D-Man here. You do save money by trading down in the draft. It costs you less because you're not the way the salary cap scale works and contract scale works. I think corner is a big time need. So at that point, I might just take J.C. Horn, but I do think trading down is a good idea for San Francisco, at least at some level. From T-Man, should the Seahawks trade for Orlando Brown, then move Dwayne Brown to right tackle? I don't think so. You have a very good thing in Dwayne Brown at left tackle. That is your best offensive lineman by far. I don't want to have him switch positions late in his career. I would rather keep Dwayne Brown at left tackle than try and find somebody else and go find someone else to fill in at right tackle. I think that is probably a better path for Seattle. In the end, by the way, if Orlando Brown does get moved, I don't think the Seahawks have the draft capital to really be competitive for an Orlando Brown caliber of player. From Sports Season, AJ Bouye to the Cowboys. I mean, sure, at the right cost. I'm kind of out on him because he hasn't been very good over the past few years, but if it's a buy low, prove it deal, yeah, I'm always on board with those guys. And frankly, I think the AJ Bouye to insert team, that's the exact same answer for all of them. Now I'm asking you guys a question. Who is your favorite free agent this year? Let me know in the comments. In fact, I'll make this question the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your votes in. Emil Pedersen, Super Chat again. Can a long snapper get in the Hall of Fame? If so, will LP get in? I don't know, maybe, but I would always bet on the long snapper getting the Hall of Fame. Sorry. Rico gathers to Pro Bowl. I feel like I'm being trolled here. Kevin King to Dallas as a number 2 corner with the drafting of Farley. How would you feel about the secondary then? Well, if you're drafting Farley and you have Trevon Diggs, Kevin King's not your number 2 corner. Also, I am burned forever by Kevin King getting burnt against the Bucs, so I wouldn't love it all that much. From Cyan Richard, can you set the record straight for those Eagles fans? Carson Wentz is not worth 2 first-round picks. They're crazy. Go Giants. If the Eagles get 2 first-round picks for for Carson Wentz, Howie Roseman becomes the greatest GM of all time. That would be an absurd haul based on how bad he was last year. Ultimate finesse move. No, we saw him play last year. He was bad. He got outplayed by a second-round rookie with the exact same supporting cast around him. He is not worth 2 first-round picks. If a team does that team is stupid. From Unknown Ethan, should Taysom Hill move to tight end? I mean, yes, the Saints won't. I genuinely think that Sean Payton's going to be like, we're going to make Hill our quarterback next year. And I don't think it's going to work in the end. I think there'll be some fun moments for sure. But the things that Taysom Hill does well, being able to play quarterback and tight end and receiver and H-back and running back and being a special teams guy, all of those things disappear the second you make him a full-time quarterback. So I don't put him as like that athlete truly because I don't think he's good enough to be a full-time NFL quarterback. Now, if you guys like our live mailbags, show your support by liking the video. Some whispers here at the office of maybe we won't do as many mailbags. Well, if you want those to go away and want to keep the mailbags here, give us a like right now. Help us out on today's video. From Theo Henry, Yannick Ngakoue to the Patriots for a 4-year, $42 million deal. That is wildly undervaluing Yannick Ngakoue. He's going to get more than $10.5 million per year. I promise you. Like, Trey Flowers got 17. Yannick gets 8 sacks every single season. That dude's going to approach 20. He's going to be a lot closer to 20 than he is 10, I promise you. From Bam Troll, Orlando Brown to the Vikings. Interesting idea. Here's my question. Do you want Ezra Cleveland to be a tackle or guard? Because if you want Cleveland at tackle, I think he's got to be a left tackle. I think that's his best spot in terms of the tackle spots. Keep him at guard, okay, you can put Orlando Brown there, and at that point it makes some sense. But if Cleveland's your left tackle of the future, you're not going to go after Orlando Brown. From Mutt Miles, can Carolina get a good quarterback prospect at 8, or do they have to move up to 3 or maybe even 2? I think there are 4 guys who make sense for the Carolina Panthers. Obviously Trevor Lawrence, right? Then it's pick your flavor of Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, or Trey Lance. I think there is a chance that one of those 3 guys is there at number 8. But if there's one you like way more, then you have to move up. You have to go get that guy. So I don't know which route Carolina goes, but I think if there's someone you like, be aggressive. From Solomon, move J.J. Watt or Von Miller, or Browns make a move for J.J. Watt or Von Miller, and a Browns channel. Maybe one day, Solomon. There actually kind of is one out there, but it's not full-time yet. If Von Miller gets cut, maybe. J.J. Watt, they could afford to. It's a fun tandem, Watt and Myles Garrett. I don't know what the future holds for either of those guys. I think if they get cut, Cleveland will have interest. Other than that, it depends on just how much the asking price is in terms of a trade. From Elias, how far back should the Dolphins trade back if they did? We had the Panthers question earlier. I think number 8 is a sweet spot. With the way I think the board would fall, Miami could trade down to 8 and probably still get one of those receivers or one of the good offensive linemen, plus extra assets. That's appealing to me. From Michael Gary Scott, will the Seahawks make a run at Aaron Jones? I think that would upset Russell Wilson a lot. Look, Jones is the top free agent back, and the Packers drafted AJ Dillon in round 2 last year, and I'm not sure Jones will be back in Green Bay. But if the Seahawks get in a bidding war for a back and don't invest in the offensive line, I think Russell Wilson's going to be real angry about that. Like, Jones is a good player, don't get me wrong. There will be interest in him. But if I'm Seattle, I would much rather invest in a great offensive lineman or a good offensive lineman than a running back. That's just the way the NFL is. Well, that's the way Russell Wilson wants to run the offense as well. So make your predictions for me. Where will Aaron Jones sign? Green Bay, Seattle, somewhere else. Maybe even Miami could make some sense. Let me know in the comments. Make your predictions where Aaron Jones will sign. From Christian Spears, should Toronto ever get an NFL team? I mean, Buffalo's close enough, so probably not. I'd say London probably gets the first crack. Ingram Quick. If Jamar Chase is on the board at 10, should the Cowboys take him and then trade Michael Gallup? Hot take. For the Cowboys specifically, I would rather have Jalen Waddle because they need some more speed at receiver. Like, I like Jamar Chase a lot, but I would love a more dynamic, vertical, game-breaking threat than in terms of Waddle than what I think Chase would end up being. So if Waddle is there, you can go about that route. I still think defense makes the most sense, but maybe you trade Gallup and get a good defender. At that point, you can make that and have it fit with the way you want to build out your team. Now, if you guys want NFL news and rumors and draft and free agency and live mailbags and everything else, hit that big red button and subscribe. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Links right there. We got almost 1,000 people watching live right now. I know not all of you are subscribed. So if you want to stay up to date, hit that big red button and subscribe today. From Mason Stotts, should Pittsburgh take Najee Harris in the first round? Maybe. I would almost, again, prefer offensive line. I do think Najee makes sense for Pittsburgh, but I would almost rather have a first-round offensive lineman and a back on, round 3 or round 4 like a Trey Sermon and build out my roster that way, because a back behind a bad offensive line isn't going to have the most success in the end. From Jacob Raleigh, should the Ravens target Corey Linsley? Good question. That's the Packers center, by the way. I think they could explore it. I think in the end what would make the most sense for the Ravens is focus your money on a receiver or maybe even a guard. Like, I thought Patrick McCarry played okay last year. I think that's an option. But if you want to upgrade that interior, especially if you move on from Orlando Brown, that could make some sense for me. From Preston Wheeler, Chiefs getting Richard Sherman in NFL free agency. I'm going to say probably not, but it's a good question to have, right? Like, Richard Sherman apparently plans on playing 2 more years. So Sherman has a decision then. He's got 2 years left. Is this one last cash-in time or one last run at a title? There is no wrong answer. That is up to the player. I'm always going to support the player, right? If he goes to KC, he's picking the former. He's saying, I want to win games, not I'm going to cash in one last time, because he's going to take a discount to go to KC. So make your predictions, just like Aaron Jones for me. Where will Richard Sherman sign? Is it KC? My prediction, by the way, he's talked a lot about the Jets. I'd keep an eye out for New York on that one. But you guys make your predictions for me in the comments section. Where will Richard Sherman sign? From Daniel, who will replace Jaquiski Tart? Good question. Draft pick? Like, you pay Jimmy Ward, you're bringing him back. I would say they probably go cheaper at that number 2 safety spot. Can it be Travarius Moore time? Maybe. I don't think it's Marcel Harris, so I'd keep an eye out in the draft, maybe day 2, early day 3, for potential new safety for San Francisco. Brandon Alexander rocking looks like a Dak jersey on there. Dak in Denver. Producer Sam, you run our Broncos channel. Yes or no? Yeah, he says yes. Probably not. A couple reasons. Number one, the Cowboys keep saying, we're going to tag Dak, we're going to pay Dak. At this point, I will believe it when I see it because they've taken so long here. In the event that Dak becomes a free agent or says, just trade me now, Denver should have interest. I wonder if a team like maybe the Colts, the Patriots with Hoodie, the Saints could have interest too. If Dak hits the open market, full-fledged bidding war. Maybe Denver goes after him, maybe they don't. Anger management. Tag and trade Allen Robinson for Orlando Brown. I don't hate it. What gives me the most concern here is the Bears still need a receiver at that point. It does help you out on the offensive line. I think in terms of making an offer value, I think the Ravens say yes. I would wonder if the Bears would say yes. From HR Oaktree, what would Seattle need to trade to get into the first round, and would they do it? Purely from a draft pick perspective, they could move all of their picks this year, and the Bucs at 32 say no. Because a second and a fourth are their best assets, and that's not going to get them from the 50s into the 30s. There's just no way. So it would either be a player or a future first-round pick, which you don't have next year, or a future second. So, it becomes really tricky. At that point, in reality, guys, Seahawks fans, don't get your hopes up. They're not going to be drafting in round 1. They simply don't have the assets unless they move a player, which is a whole different conversation. From Alec Robin, who will play quarterback for the Patriots in 2021? Ooh, good question. I honestly don't know. It's someone not on their roster. I think we all agree on that front. Is it a Mariota? Is it a Dalton? Is it a Jimmy Garoppolo? If the Niners get a new quarterback, I'm going to put my money on Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what I think would end up happening. But That's a lot of ifs to occur. So I don't know if that's what actually ends up going down.